Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are watching from. Welcome to the session, Your Guide to Internships During and After the US Studies. During this session, you will learn how to develop practical transferable skills with the help of optional practical training and curriculum practical training. My name is Yulia Biskorska. I am Education USA Ukraine advisor, and I'm joined by the experts, the representatives of four the US higher education institutions. And I am pleased to give a floor to each of them for the round of introductions. Please, the floor is yours. Just briefly state your name and tell us a bit about your institution.
Well, I guess I'll start. My name is Marcy Fradkin. I'm from Valparaiso University, which is 72 kilometers from Chicago. And we have both grad and undergrad programs. And we have a 97% job placement rate for our students after graduation. And internships are an important way to get those jobs after graduation.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll go next. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janice Thomas. I am Director of International Education at Brookdale Community College. We are located on the eastern coast of New Jersey, about 1.5 hours south of New York City, and just about Philadelphia is about 1.5 hours to our west. So excellent location to take advantage of internships and practical training opportunities. We offer 80 degrees and certificate programs. 42 of our degrees are transfer degrees, allowing you to begin your bachelor's at Brookdale and continue at any of our partner institutions or anywhere in the US. And we also offer vocational programs that allow you to enter the workforce immediately after the associate's degree. So we're happy to be with you this afternoon, and we look forward to hearing your questions.
Thank you, Janice. Stacy, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stacy Soderstrom with Central Washington University. We are a public institution in the state of Washington, so we're located on the West Coast. Central Washington has about 135 different degree programs at the bachelor and master level. And Seattle is the largest city in our state and the most popular place for our students to participate in their internship and work options. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Maria.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the fair today. My name's Maria Dietrich, and I'm from Northampton Community College, and we're located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So we're very close to New York City, Philadelphia, and also Washington, D.C. We have campus housing for our students. We also have an intensive English as a second language program for students who need to begin in the English program. And then we also have associate degrees. Some prepare you to graduate after 2 years and you're ready to start your career. Others are preparing you to transfer so you can complete your bachelor's degree. So thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to your questions today.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. And I'm personally very glad that we have an opportunity to learn about, well, internships from the perspective of community colleges and four-year institutions. So this is a discussion. Please feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. And meanwhile, I will go ahead and ask each panelist or whoever wants to answer this question to give a brief overview. What type of work or internship or generally practical opportunities are available to students during their studies in the US and after?
Well, maybe we should start with an overview of on-campus work, CPT, and OPT. So as an international student, I don't care if you're doing a bachelor's, if you're doing an associate, if you're doing a master's degree, as an international student, you're only allowed to work with permission off campus. You're allowed to work on campus up to 20 hours a week during the major semesters, but longer during breaks or summer breaks, you can do more. And so that is and I don't care if you're at Harvard or you're at Shoreline Community College or Valparaiso or Northampton, I don't care what school you're at. This is the rules in the United States. If you would like to work off campus, you have to have special permission and there's different ways of getting it depending on what kind you're doing. Does someone want to talk about CPT and explain how it works, or would you like me to do it? Okay, I will keep going then.
I can jump in. Sure, Marcy.
Do CPT.
Yeah, so curriculum practical training is an experience that you have as part of your degree program. So you might hear terms called like a co-op or an internship. It's an experience off campus, on campus, but directly related to your major. Sometimes it's a degree requirement, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's unpaid. But the main component is that it's directly related to your major and you are participating it during your studies. You work very closely with maybe it's your international staff. So like here at Central would be our international office to receive authorization for your internship, your CPT experience before you start it. So that's the big difference, is that you need to have approval before you can begin. You have to have the job or internship experience already in place. So you already have it lined up with your faculty approval, as well as the job approval. So a very brief, broad overview of CPT.
And of course, the next one is OPT, which I think the community colleges should talk about because you guys are kind of cool.
Sure.
And you guys have a special power that, we don't have.
That's correct. Yes. So optional practical training, as the name suggests, allows you to gain practical experience in your field of study, either before you graduate or after you complete your studies. And I think what Marcy was referring to, a benefit of beginning your bachelor degree at a community college, is that you are able to have 1 year of optional practical training at the conclusion of your associate's degree. You go on to Central Washington or Valparaiso, you'll get another period of practical training after your bachelor's degree. You continue anywhere else in the US for your master's or your PhD, you have additional periods of practical training after each degree level. So starting at a community college, you have that built-in extra opportunity to work either with curricular practical training or with optional practical training, or both. All of us work very, very closely with our career office, career and leadership development. It might be called something different at your intended institution, but we do work very closely with these offices to help our students locate internships and practical training experiences, to help prepare them to interview in an American context, to help prepare them to prepare their LinkedIn social media profile, to prepare their resume so that it fits the American cultural context. And I don't know if Maria has anything she'd like to add to that.
Sure. Thank you, Janice. Just one thing I thought to add is that optional practical training is not required. It's optional, but it's a benefit to get practical work experience in your career field. And also, OPT requires a formal application process and a fee that you pay to the government, and then you need to receive their approval to complete OPT. Thank you.
And I guess us universities should talk about STEM OPT, because you can't get STEM OPT from a community college, but you do get that extra year. But if you do a STEM degree, and I think there's over 300 majors on the STEM list, a psychology can be STEM. A digital media degree can be STEM. Of course, engineering, biology, chemistry. I mean, we have infinite amount of majors that are STEM. And even some business majors can be STEM, like business analytics. So if you study something that's classified by the US government as a STEM, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, you can get an extension. We call it STEM extension, and you have to apply for it. And the other difference with OPT is you don't have to have a job when you initially apply for OPT to get that permission. But for the STEM OPT, you do need to have that job. And so you can apply after that 1 year. So you graduate with your bachelor's, your master's, your PhD in something STEM related. You do that 1 year of normal OPT, then you can apply while you're still in that first year for a STEM extension, and you get two additional years of STEM and OPT. And you do have to pay again. You do have to apply, and if you do it right, people generally get approved, and your universities will help you with that. So you can work for up to 3 years after a STEM degree, including your STEM OPT. And so a lot of students, when they're picking their university or picking their degree, they go, is it a STEM degree? Is it a STEM degree? So that's one of the most popular questions I get heard about that.
Nice. And sorry?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Because you added about the STEM extension, and something that would be interesting to our audience is that okay, you can do the OPT after getting associate's degree, but then you can do OPT after your bachelor's degree and then after master's degree. So does that extension apply after each degree you receive, or only once?
Stacey, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So you can do STEM OPT twice with a STEM extension during your full academic career. So if you choose to do it after an associate's degree and then a bachelor's degree, you would not be able to participate in the STEM extension for a master's or a PhD. So it's just twice.
And sorry, there is no STEM extension for associate, only for bachelor
associate,
and higher.
sorry. So after bachelor's and master's, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now Janice already started talking about career services. And I think this is like I've studied in 2 other countries and lived in 3 other. And I think career services offices are something very unique to America. Does each of us want to talk about our career services offices on our campus and what role they play and what kind of activities? I mean, Janice already started talking about that. But what each want to talk, and we're open to questions, guys. If you have questions about this, we're happy to answer. But do each of you guys want to talk about career service?
Yes, we already have a few questions in the chat, but I think it's a good idea to go ahead with a career service, and then we'll take more questions from the chat.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just continue with our career services office. We offer a program every semester to our international students, and we partner with them. They cover how to interview, how to prepare your resume, what are the resources for using the career service. Everything is online now. So, setting up your resume and using our online jobs database. So they cover that kind of information. And then we cover the details of how to apply for curricular practical training, how to apply for optional practical training, and the legal and the immigration part of gaining that practical experience.
So here at Central Washington University, our Career Service Center is very similar, helping you with the job process. So looking for internships and those OPT, optional practical training experiences, resume writing, social media building. But the other big thing to mention is the job fairs. So multiple times throughout the academic year, we actually bring employers to campus who are ready to interview students, talk about their company, the types of jobs available. Some are offering interviews during the career fair, and there might be multiple options. So we do a career fair specifically for engineering majors. We do a career fair specifically for construction management, business administration, and then all majors. So definitely take advantage of that. And when you are in the United States, it's a great opportunity to connect with those potential employers for those internship experiences.
And at Northampton, our Career Center, they have a lot of support for our students. there's a website where students can locate internship and job opportunities. Our Career Center also will help students prepare their cover letter and resume to apply for a job. And they can also meet with a student to do a practice job interview, which is a really, really great activity to do, because sometimes students are nervous or embarrassed, and then they go on a job interview and they're too nervous and shy. But it's better to practice that with someone from our career office who can give you a lot of tips about, your answers, your posture, and things that will help you to appear confident and ready to take the job that you're applying for.
Okay, and I will add that my, career service in my office offers a lot of the same services and the fairs. The other thing my career service office does is also has an on-campus job fair. They help organize an on-campus job fair to help you find an on-campus job. Because remember, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week during the academic year or during major semesters. And so they help you do that. My biggest thing is don't wait till you're about to graduate to use the career service. That is there throughout your tuition dollars is paying for that. And so please take advantage of it. We have a business etiquette dinner, which teaches you how to do business etiquette. We have workshops on internships. We have a workshop called Root Beers and Resumes, Job Search 101. Someone asked, when can you go to a career fair? Well, the first time you can work off campus is after 9 months. That's generally speaking on the immigration rule is after 9 months. But sometimes the career fairs are jobs on campus, and you don't need special permission for those. So the career fairs, and a lot of students even will go in their first year to go to a career fair because they're trying to learn, they're trying to practice, they're trying to learn what skills they need to build for their degrees. The career services are not there just for when you're about to graduate. I see even American students make that mistake. They go, oh, I'm graduating, I better go work on my resume. They should have been working on that throughout their career. And the more internships you have, well, first of all, you can make a little extra money. Not enough to probably pay your tuition, but it can help. But also it builds your resume. So when you do graduate, you can get that job after graduation. And a lot of companies, especially the big companies, are using those internships as like a sort of almost a pre-job. They want to see how well you do in the internship before they offer you that job after graduation. So it's really, really important to talk to, when you're picking a university, you ask them what their job placement rate is. Or when you're talking to a college, you ask them, the community college, what kind of internships are your students doing? So those are really, really good things to think about when you're picking the school. But I'm telling you, that career service should be your best friend while you're on campus. Anything else we want to add about career services offices?
Thank you for taking that question from the chat. Since you already started talking about the benefits of having an internship, could you please elaborate more? What benefits do international students get from taking advantage of CPT and OPT?
So you're in CPT and OPT, you're getting relevant job experience before you're actually applying for jobs. So, that's a great benefit. And then you're also meeting people at your employer site. You're going to have a boss or supervisor. You're going to have coworkers in your office. You may also be working with people from other teams at that company. So all of those people that you're meeting are going to become part of your professional network. And, you can look up to them for advice, ask them if you're struggling with an issue. They have a lot of experience, so you can reach out to them. You can also just, ask them to go to lunch and say, I would like to hear about your education and your job background and how you're in your career now. And that can help you really, decide what are different pieces of different jobs that you really like. And that can help you, sort of take a direction for your career.
Thank you, Maria. Anybody else would like to add?
I also think it's the skills that you're learning. So let's say you're doing an internship for a graphic design program and you've done practice mock-ups for different advertising or marketing schemes, but you get an internship and you're actually doing it in real life. So you're able to apply the skills and the things that you're seeing and learning about in the classroom into the real world and into the real working world. So you sort of get to fuse those two together through those types of work experiences.
And I would add to the internship experience or even community service that especially if you are able to start early in your academic career, in your first or second year, that experience can tell you whether or not that chosen field is for you, that you might, be an internship and just say, oh, wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And if it's early enough in your career, you have the opportunity to change your major or to try something else that might be a better fit for you.
Thank you. And you've mentioned that with both OPT and CPT, they have to be related to the degree the student is majoring in. What if the student wants to, let's say, just earn some money for, to pay some fees or to pay for the books? Is it possible for a student to get a job that is not related to their major?
They can do it on campus, but they can't do CPT or OPT because it's supposed to be related to your major and your degree level. I've had trouble with the degree level in the past. I had a master's student who was studying hospitality, and Disneyland has this great internship program, but they were going to be working as a cashier. So it was deemed as not appropriate to their degree level because they were working on a master's degree in hospitality. If they had been a front desk person or a concierge, but just being a cashier would not allow it. So it could serve both purposes. Like I had several students who did software engineering internships this summer. And yeah, they were making, I think they might have been making more than me over the summer at least. And yes, they can use that money to offset their tuition. But the purpose of a CPT, especially CPT, is to be getting work experience in your field. Now that can be paid, but it's to gain work experience in your field. And depending on the field, some internships are paid and some are not. And so, but it has to be related to your major and your degree level. I've had students argue with me, well, I'm going to be a cashier and I'm studying accounting, so that's money related. And I'm like, nope, that is not. So you have to be very careful. And the reason we are so picky about that is we're trying to protect that student's future. Because then if they want to, when you apply to OPT, they will know you've done CPT and they will sometime look at that. Or if you later are applying for a change of status, maybe you got a permanent residency or you got sponsored by a company to work in the United States, they will look back in your history and make sure you've been following the rules. And we're not trying to be mean. We're trying to make sure that you guys are in compliance so that we can protect your future status in the United States.
And one more very practical question that, at least in Ukraine, we get quite often is that a lot of students here freelance, for example, teaching English online. And their question is, when they are in the US, is it possible for them to supplement their on-campus employment 20 hours as permitted with F1 student visa with their online work? I see Stacy nodding no. I already knew that answer, but can you please elaborate and explain to students why it's not possible?
So any type of work that's off campus. So if you're tutoring people online in English and making money off of it, that's deemed work off campus and that's not authorized. It'd be the same if you were pet sitting or watching somebody's children or going to somebody's house to help clean it. Anything that you're doing off campus that's not approved, even if it is virtual work, it's still considered work. So it is not authorized to do while you're studying here in the US on an F1.
Thank you.
And the US government is not trying to be mean. And we know that can be frustrating for many students, but you are coming to the U.S. on a student visa. So they want emphasis is to be on that study. So that is why that emphasis there. Now, if you were getting a bachelor's or master's in TESOL, you could probably get a CPT, or if you're getting a degree in English, you might be able to get CPT to do that. But your CPT is even limited. You can't work more than 364 days of full-time CPT, or you lose your OPT. But that's a lot more detail than you probably need. So your CPT does have a limit on it too. So we have to be very, very careful.
Thank you. And how long in advance should the students be searching for OPT opportunities before graduating?
I think Marcy mentioned it well, articulated well when she said that students should connect with the Career Services Office in the first semester. At the community college, we tell students to start that preparation early and definitely begin your job search in your final semester. You might, but beginning early helps you to be prepared with your resume and your social media profile and practice interviews. You can practice at the career fairs, etc. But certainly in that final semester is when you really want to be ramping up and your job search for graduation.
Thank you.
And I would say on the 4-year level, like I said, sometimes your CPT can lead into OPT. And so sometimes, even you doing internships, summer internships, can help you with your future search for your OPT, for your more permanent job that you do afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And you've mentioned that it's only 20 hours per week. And during summer, I believe there's a possibility to have a 40 hours internship. Is that right?
Correct. And or on-campus job. Let's say your university or college is running a camp or something, and they need camp counselors for 40 hours a week. That is possible.
Thank you. There is a question in the chat from Mary. What happens if an international student is also a holder of a green card? Does any restrictions apply on working hours?
Well, then they're not technically an international student. International students are people usually coming on a F or J1 visa. So a green card holder is usually considered a permanent residency, and they are not restricted.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything to add?
None of these regulations would apply to a green card holder.
No.
Thank you.
That is correct.
There is another question. Can we work off campus during master degree? I think it was answered, but please add if you have anything to add to this question.
They can if they're doing CPT or OPT. To work, if you enter the U.S. on an F or J1 visa, you need permission from the school or from the U.S. government, and sometimes it's a combination of both, to work off campus.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I think you have given a very in-depth insight on what OPT and CPT means, but what I would be curious to learn is about the eligibility requirements. Okay, international students have certain regulations and certain limits regards the working hours, but are there any specific eligibility requirements that apply to international students in addition to that?
Well, generally, to be eligible to apply for any type of practical training, a student, and I'm using the word generally, students must be in valid F1 status for an academic year. And we've talked about the other eligibility requirement of that work being related to the field of study. On our campus, we also look to see that that student is in good academic standing. If a student has, failing grades semester after semester, most likely they would not be approved for an internship, an academic course in an internship anyway. But we look to see that that student is in good academic standing. They are in good immigration standing. So the student cannot have violated their immigration status to be eligible. So I don't know if anybody else would like to chime in or add anything that I may have missed.
I would just
I
add
unfortunately had, oh, so go ahead.
I was just going to add quickly that the student should work with the international office at their campus. So there are people who are very familiar with your student visa regulations, and you should be working with them from the beginning of the process. You should not be trying to do this on your own, because they're called designated school officials, and they have a lot of knowledge about the visas, so that you are completing the requirements of your visa and not violating any of the restrictions.
Thank you.
And what
Mary?
I was going to tell you was a quick story. Was when I was working at one of the universities I was working at, I had a pizza delivered, and I opened the door and I looked at the student and went, and it was a student illegally working off campus, and of course they didn't have permission. It wasn't related, being a pizza delivery guy is not related to a major usually. And unfortunately, the rules are very strict about this. We had to terminate that student. There was no doubt. They were in a uniform. They were delivering a pizza. So, it's something we hate doing. It makes me sick to the stomach. That's why we say, get permission, talk to us, go to your office, find out advice. Let us help you find a job on campus. But it's very strict that you will be, terminated if you are working off campus.
Right. Rules are rules. Great. I'm going to remind our audience that we have 10 more minutes in this session. So if you have questions regarding the internships during and after your studies in the US, please leave your questions in the comments section. And so you've already mentioned sort of some examples of internships the students have had. Could you please share more about where do students usually work, what kind of companies they get engaged with, and in what type of positions?
It's, I guess, just about everywhere in every type of industry that where there are that support the majors at our campuses. Now, some universities will have strong ties to, well, all universities and colleges have strong ties to local employers in their county or region. So those local employers are often a good source of internships. But Stacy mentioned, Marcy mentioned the Disney College program. We've had Brookdale students at the Disney College program. We have a fabulous culinary arts program. And we're on the coast, the Jersey Shore. There are lots of hospitality and culinary opportunities in local restaurants and local hotels for students. Our fashion students are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from New York City. So they've done internships in fashion houses in New York City. So really, I think all of us can give examples of industries that are tied to our communities, where you'll find our international students doing OPT or internships. And with OPT, a student can graduate from Brookdale and they can do their OPT anywhere in the US. It doesn't have to be, in the community. So we've had students relocate to other states and they found, internship and OPT opportunities in other states as well.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to add?
It really depends on your major. And building those relationships with the professors in your major will help you find, sometimes even help you find internship. They might recommend you for one. We've had students do NASA. We've had Amazon. We've had local computer companies. We've had newspapers. We've had, we are a Division I university, as Wazoo is, or Central Washington. I think you're Division I, aren't you? I might be wrong. But we have Division II still. But we're on ESPN, so we have students doing internships with ESPN. It really depends on your major. Like I said, that has to be related to your major. Someone's asking, is OPT usually paid? It depends. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I would say a good majority, especially if it's after your bachelor's or your master's degree, most of them are paid. But I would say the majority of them are. CPT, it's really a mixed bag if they are paid. That's the one you do while you're studying. But OPT, generally speaking, at least after a bachelor's, most of the time, even after an associate, they are paid. Someone I noticed had a question, wanted us to review STEM OPT again. I saw that.
Right. If you'd like, you can go ahead and review it, but also we will have a recording. So
Okay.
If you'd like to rewatch it and re-listen to what has already been said, you can do it afterwards. We have a new question. Do all universities in the US offer some job opportunities while they are not in their study term? So I believe this question is asking whether the students, the international students, can work while not in the study term.
So I guess they're asking during summer or winter, I guess, breaks.
I guess that's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so yes, you can. Typically, you can work on campus, so that on-campus employment that you don't need CPT or OPT authorization. During breaks, you can work more hours. So when class is in session, it's 20 hours per week. When class is on break, it's 40 hours per week maximum. So you can actually be spending your summer term working on campus in a variety of different positions, depending on the institution you're attending. And then the other option would be approved CPT, so that internship or co-op experience. I see a lot of students doing that during the summer term because they want to participate in their internship full time. And typically they do that during that break.
Thank you, Stacy.
And remember that on-campus job doesn't have to be related to your major. Our biggest hire at my campus, I mean, there's a lot of jobs related to majors on campus, but I would say a good percent of them are not related to majors. And the most and you could start those from, the minute you start classes, you can start your on-campus job. You don't have to wait the 9 months or academic year. So our biggest hire on our campus is our cafeteria, to be honest.
Thank you. And there's one more question. Can we stay in the US after graduation if we have a stable job?
Well, yes, you can stay for approved OPT, which is 12 months maximum. If you're in that STEM field, then you can apply for a 24-month extension. But that is the limit that you're allowed to stay in the United States on your F1 visa. Then you'd have to look for alternate ways to stay if that's your plan. But again, on the F1 visa, only 12 months for OPT with that possible STEM extension.
That being said, this doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen enough that if the company really, 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 really loves you, the company can sponsor you for something called an H visa, but that is no longer a student visa. And I would say it probably only happens maybe 5 to 10% of the time. So it's not very common, but it does happen enough that I've had enough students that the company has to sponsor you, and then you're working in the United States off your student visa is tied to that company. But it doesn't happen that often. It's probably maybe 5 to 10%.
Thank you. I believe there are no more questions in the chat, and our session is almost coming to an end. So to each of our panelists, if our audience members still have questions or there are more questions appear after this session, where can they find you during the fair?
They can stop by Brookdale Community College's booth, and happy to chat with them about opportunities at Brookdale.
So yes, please come stop by Central Washington University's booth and chat with myself or my colleague, Kimberly.
And I'm Maria again from Northampton Community College. So you can look for us at the fair too.
And I'm Marcy Fradkin at Valparaiso University. And feel free to drop by. I can talk about both bachelor's and master's. And we do love community college. Go to community college. 2 + 2 is a wonderful thing.
Nice. Thank you so much to each of the panelists. Thank you so much to the audience members. Yes, there will be a recording, so you will be able to access it later, but make sure you talk to the representatives during the fair. Have a great day or have a great evening. Goodbye.